just on it the other day, but I will double check it. David, you have a question?
No, thank you. I figured it out. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Do we have any other questions? Curtis? Curtis?
Hello?
Curtis, did you have a question?
Yes, I typed in if you have a manufactured home that has one but not both of the HUD tags, or you can't find the other one, is that uninsurable?
Now normally if it has the tag that has the serial number or the identification number on it, the property is still insurable. There's one tag that just gives you verbiage, and the other tag normally gives you the printed on serial number, or well, I don't even think it's a serial number, but just the number that you can go online and find out the information on that property. Then the property would still be insurable. Now, if it's a double wide,
yeah, a double wide is what I'm referring to.
So if it's a double wide, and if it's double wide, both units would have to have a tag on it.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Now, what I will go over now are some common questions. One is, let's see if we have anybody else. One would be lead-based paint, and how it's noted in an appraisal report. Any property prior to 1978 per HUD would be considered to have potentially lead-based paint issues. Any chipping paint, flaking paint on a pre-1978 property, anywhere on the property, not just on the home, but the garage, even if it's detached, an appraiser would have to note a repair for paint, and that would be to scrape, prime, and repaint that section, as well as remove the chips as their NPR item. Now, lead-based paint is also to be noted in two other areas of the report. One would be on page 1 as a physical deficiency, and that is a new requirement per mortgagee letter that just came out this past year. And it's also to be noted on the lead-based paint addendum, which I'll get into later on in this report. The lead-based paint addendum, cost to repair, and the NPR list cost to repair must match. Gutters are an item that we get asked about a lot. Gutters aren't required, but if they are there, they must be functional. Meaning, if you have a gutter system that's missing panels or missing downspouts, that system has to be made functional. But now, if a property does not have any gutters, it is not required to apply them. Detached garages. Again, the HUD and FHA insure the whole property, not just the livable portion of it. If a detached garage has a damaged garage door and it's boarded up, you have to make that garage functional. If it has damaged paint and it appears the garage was built at the same time of the property prior to 1978, those items would have to be included in the lead-based paint concerns and your NPR list. Let's see, we have a few more questions written in. We have kitchen and bathrooms. Now, a kitchen and bathroom area of the home must be functional. If the entire kitchen is missing, you must apply a cost to provide that home a functional kitchen. Same with the bath. If there's a toilet missing, that bathroom is not functional. If the vanity is missing, that bathroom is not functional. So the kitchen has to have a basic kitchen setup. It has to have a main counter, a kitchen sink, And actually, that's pretty much it. That would be the minimal repair to make that kitchen functional. Appliances are never NPR items. Joseph has a question. If a property is determined to be inhabitable, do you have to determine a cost for removal? Now, if the cost to make that property habitable is not feasible in that area, you would complete a land appraisal, and your adjustment to your comps would be the removal of the remaining structure. So yes, you would have to determine the cost to remove the structure. Vent hoods and fans. These items are another item that we have a lot of questions on, and truthfully, if you don't include them in the NPR list, they won't be questioned, nor will they be questioned if you include them. They aren't technically an appliance. They do lend to the safety and functionality of the kitchen because you have to remove the fumes from your cooking. But again, that item can go either way. Missing smoke detectors, that previously on FHA appraisals was a mandatory fix. Now it's based on your county codes. If in certain areas they aren't required, if your county requires smoke detectors, you can make them an NPR. What you would do to prevent any kickback is provide a further documentation, not documentation, but a notation in your report stating that the smoke detectors were in fact a county requirement. Now, I think let me scan one more time, but I think we're set. So we'll go ahead and move on. So now that we understand NPR items, oh, I'm sorry, Shirley, you have a question? Shirley Mitchell? Okay. Now that we understand the 5 main differences between an FHA and a HUD REO appraisal, and the 5 main differences are the as-is, the NPR items, the property condition report, the repair estimates, and the insurability statement, we can now put them all together. This is a format in which we provide in our sample report. It essentially states that you've been provided a PCR that you used as a guide during your inspection. You also relied on your visual inspection, and this is where your reference to the PCR would be provided. This is where your according to the PCR dated reference would be noted. Also, all NPR items must be itemized and have an adjoining cost to cure or a repair estimate, and you must provide a total. In this case, the total is $5,750. Based on that total, this property is uninsurable. The insurability statement must always be in bold, and all this information must be on the same page, meaning the PCR reference, the NPR list, the NPR total, and the insurability statement should be provided on the same sheet. This next form was a form put out by WinTotal, I believe, this year. It basically digitized an NPR format form. If you have this form, it's also acceptable. It basically breaks down the NPR items into sections, and it provides you a checkbox as opposed to having to write in the insurability statement. We get a lot of questions, can we apply an REO addendum? REO addendums are not allowed for HUD appraisals. Well, they are allowed for HUD appraisals. However, we don't want you to use them for a few reasons. REO addendum provides you an area for a limited marketing time. You can break it down 30, 90 days, 120 days. They also provide an as repaired value. We don't want you to include a REO addendum given that HUD only is concerned with the as-is value. Often, when you provide HUD with a limited market exposure value or a repair or as repaired value, we get questions when we get kickbacks for clarification. And to prevent that, we totally take that option away. We're going to go further into inspection recommendations. This is kind of going over what we went over previously. Obvious structural concerns are always going to be inspection recommendations. Potential mold issues, again, are going to be inspection recommendation. And mechanical systems when the PCR does not provide a reason for the failure in its or the test failure. My note on the bottom: an appraiser must not apply cookie-cutter coverall inspections. We get many appraisals that have a list of recommended inspections about 12 deep. And then at the bottom of all those inspections, the appraiser will make a coverall comment stating that I'm not an expert in these areas, I recommend an inspection. Now, HUD gives you a PCR, so you don't have to be an expert as far as testing the mechanical systems. And the underwriter will immediately kick back if there isn't some type of basis for your inspection recommendation. The example I give at the bottom here, if there's no visible damage to the roof and no leaks on the interior, you should not be applying a recommendation for its inspection. If the roof is even worn and there's no leakage on the interior, FHA, I believe the requirement is a minimum of 3 years. Now, given that we're not roof inspectors, you can note that the roof is visibly worn,